Meet Saach, the world's most innovative crypto ecosystem. Saach simplifies DeFi for mainstream users and seamlessly integrates crypto into everyday life. Discover the endless possibilities with Saach's Layer 0 blockchain. Go and check them out, saachchain.com.
From meme to utility, Floki has it all. NFT metaverse game called Valhalla. Floki University, DeFi, charity, and shopping. Floki is governed by the people, for the people. Floki, together, there is no stopping us.
Good afternoon, everyone. BC Richfield here, coming to you live from London. It's just gone midday UTC. Now we're all back aligned with daylight savings with our USA cousins. Fantastic to see so many of you live on the stream today. Hundreds of you pouring in, which is really, really cool to see. A big shout out to everybody that's watching this live and also to everybody that is watching this on catch up. Special mention for Moral this morning. First in, loving the moves. I always sound very 90s in my head as well, Moral. So you're not alone there, mate. But also as well for everybody else in the tags. Obviously, I love you. Erica's in here as well. Craigie boy, I hope we're not distracting you from too much work. Great to have you here as always. Vic Flair, wonderful to see you on here, mate. Long-time member of the Nest, a great little trader. Nice to have you here, my friend. Nit as well. And obviously, all of you other wonderful human beings that are taking the time to listen to me ramble on this morning. So the least I can do is make it worth your while. Now, one thing I just wanted to cover quickly was the thoughts that I shared with the Bird Nest community last night. So I've got the 4-hour chart open here at the moment, because I just wanted to dive into this as a very actionable time frame as well. Crypto dick butt, nice. Hello, mate. So as we're looking at this, we can see on here, right, that my key trigger here, and in fact, if I just zoom out and give you the weekly kind of outlook, this big, thick, fat red line that you see on the screen here was the previous all-time high right here on Femex. It was at 69K. Now, the reason this is so crucial, right, is when you see a key all-time high like this, you want to see, or any high or any low, how price reacts when we get there, right? So what we can see here is this is a key level, and I don't care, you know, really believe support, resistance, liquidity, etc. Fact is that these levels can just teach us a lot, right? By looking at how price moves through them. We see conviction from buyers or sellers. We see weakness as well. Whack, my friend, how are you doing? And Vic, yeah. Yeah, thank God we held some Floki. But I have to admit, I got rid of some Floki too early as well, and I regret it. But I bought in even higher, and I still don't regret that. Now, let's look at this level just very, very quickly for me, guys. Look how price came up, wasn't able to close above. See the wick there, but look at this strong expansion into this level. This is a very natural place for people to take profit, right? But also one of those things that, you know, a lot of people want to see more confirmation. So look what happened. Price came in, sold off. Long upside wick, took the liquidity above prior week's high, sold off again. See how they're all closing below this line, yeah? Until we got this beautiful pin bar candle here, right, with a very short nose, where you might see it as a bullish hammer candle. That then led to the momentum we saw again, took the prior week's low, long tail wick. That shows you here, right? This wick here shows you how price is getting bought up. Okay, price tried to get all the way down there, but has been bought up, ultimately finishing with a long downside wick, which is bullish. If we look at these particular patterns, when we're aligned with the trend, yeah, then we can see exactly how successful they can be. Yeah, so we have one here, right? We're coming up, and again, with the trend, right, guys? Yeah, this one here is a sign of continuation. We then come up. Now, notice this one, right? The bearish one. And people saying, oh, well, okay, well, why didn't that work? It's a long downside wick. It's not going with the trend. I read a brilliant article from an ex-team member of ours and a wonderful human being, Pedma7, on how these are so much more relevant when they're going with the trend, right? So we're currently in an uptrend, and look, we got another one here, yeah? And then we had another one last week. So one of the key things I was talking about in the Bitcoin report was how when we're seeing these hammer candles, there's two things we really want to do here, right? And to really make this count, we want to be holding this level. Look, rejection, rejection, rejection. Yeah, strong close above it. Now, what we want to do is hold this. And last week was beautiful for me because I saw price really dump off heavily, recover, and now we're back above this level, which is why I was expecting expansion to the prior week's high here, and then ultimately looking at this high over here to be taken down as well. So we take that information and put that down onto a daily chart, yeah? And what we can see here is this is the real kind of key area here when we started to get bullish again, right? Now, not that we've been bearish at any time, but saying, look, when you're playing around these key levels, you want to see a little bit of strength step back in, right? So we saw this big sell-off here, bearish fair value gap. What happened? We inverted it, right? So if we're seeing gaps, yeah, fair value gaps like we do here, then what we can see here, and I'll just do this one in green so it stands out, and it's just an example, but price comes up into here, sets the gap. Price then retests the gap here and then ultimately seeks liquidity higher up. Now, if we see these gaps violated, then we want to start paying attention, because all of a sudden this big bearish gap here came through, price closed above it, showing weakness. If that wasn't enough, the following candle, this beautiful pin bar candle, again, same thing, looking for the downside wick, price getting bought up, gave us confirmation that price probably wanted to move a little bit higher, okay? So on a daily scale, the signs have been there as well. We also had our change in state of delivery here, yeah? So just going to mark that in. Okay, and that's when the order block here gets set from this down close candle when this candle closes above it, okay? That's, again, a sign of bullish intent. So the signs have definitely been there. Now, the reason I wanted to focus a little bit more on the 4 hour was because I felt that this was super, super clean, okay? So let me just need to put the D on there. So fair value gap inversion daily, all right, just so we don't get confused between our time frames, because these gaps here are our 4 hour gaps. Now, last night when I printed the report, price was still down here, right? Okay, so what we were saying was the safest way to trade this, in my opinion, would be a confirmation setup, in which case we wanted to see price close above this. We got price closed above here. So this morning during London, beautiful trade up into our first liquidity target here. And ultimately, we're now looking for these up here, which if we look in, we can see they're equal highs as well, which gives us even more conviction as to why price can be looking to hunt that down. All right. Now, let's just take a very quick look at the chat for a second, because we've got a lot of people coming into there. Wacky boy, hello, mate. Joe, you absolute beauty. Awful for the summers. Then I had a big birthday celebration. 50th. Good girl. Huge, huge congratulations. Joe is a wonderful member of our Bird Nest community and a fantastic little trader. It's great to see you back, and I hope you're fully recovered from the flu. We do have a full house. No Geo. That's all we need. We need Geo here as well, from a little trading club that we've got over at the Bird Nest, where we trade together live several days a week. Jack Sutherland just joined the stream. What was the reasoning behind the pop with BTC? Well, I'm looking at it from the technical side, Jack. Hopefully that's kind of, in the last few minutes, has kind of answered the questions on why I've thought about it. But looking at this and breaking this down to an even more simple kind of concept here, we don't want to forget about market structure, right? So what we had here was price came in when we set this low, yeah? Now, what have we done? So we've set the high, low, lower high, lower low, yeah? Lower high. This here is the higher low, yeah? And then when we broke this, we've created the higher high. Now, when we do that, what do we look for? Well, we look for areas that we can get involved, right? So let's just draw this in. So this here was our market structure break. Now, market structure breaks for me on the 4 hour or on the hourly especially are really, really potent tools to use in any arsenal, but especially with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, right? So we can see we get this. Now, what else gives us a bit of extra confirmation here? Let's just get rid of this a second, just so that we can keep it clean. Well, for me, what I want to see is displacement, right? Now, yes, we're drawing up into a larger 4 hour fair value gap here, but that's the draw on price, right? So when price draws up into this, yeah, which we can see happens here, we can still abide by market structure, but think this is a really good place to catch a corrective move, right? Now, if we put on our B Pro quickly, we can see also as well what happened here. B Pro confirmed the trend change here, yeah? And just as you can see in terms of our governor, this is on the 4 hour. So this is the 4 hour trailer. It got us bearish here in some lovely shorts, confirmed our bullish action here. And then on the side of that as well, we had this beautiful bullish FVG, which I'm just going to do in green for the sake of this, to show that we caught that. The other thing as well that I always look for with B Pro are divergences, right? So just going to see if we've got any divergences on here as well. No, we didn't. We had a beautiful corrective move that we caught here. We caught this small corrective move here as well. Now, the reason divergences can be so important, and B Pro takes a multitude of them, I think 10 or 11 different oscillators, and then works out a percentage based on that. Now, when you're trending, your divergence is going to do one of two things. They're going to catch the corrective move in the ongoing trend, yeah, or they're going to catch the reversal, right? So when we look at it here, let's just start from here, for example. We're in an uptrend, right? Divergence catches the corrective move, allows us to get on board and go long again, right? We break structure here to the downside, but this recovery led by this divergence then gets us back into a bullish trend. This divergence catches the correction, allows us to trade. This divergence, yeah, actually catches the reversal. So then when we step in and we break structure, excuse me, we can see here then the bullish divergences catch the reversal, catch the correction, catch the reversal. So it depends on your trading mechanisms and what you do. Then, you know, if you're somebody that looks and abides by market structure, or whether you're somebody that likes to use indicators like that, there's always a way to stay on board with it. But quite often you'll notice how they overlay with confluence. So here, B Pro's bullish, but the key thing for me here is that we've broken structures to the upside. So I'm then hunting long setups from here. All right. So hopefully, Jack, that kind of gives you an indication on why we've been kind of bullish from back here. If we zoom out to higher time frames, yeah, then obviously we wait for a little bit more clarity. Because price was already up here last night, I'm not looking to just jump on board and get immediately long here. I want another sign that price is going to be, the price is ready to move, that the buyers are willing to kind of back the bids. So what we have here is our change in state of delivery. That just means we've got a down close candle here. We've now closed above. This also, close of this candle also inverted this. So we go long from here, targeting here very first of all. When we get to here, we can adjust our risk. Obviously, we would take these entries on a lower time frame, right? So you can use, for example, if we stick with our change in state of delivery method, which is this, and we drop to say a 5 minute, let's just mark this candle, right? So we know this candle opened this morning at 9 o'clock, was watching all of this develop while we were in London. By that, I mean the London trading session, right? So let's find 9 o'clock here. We can see we have 9 a.m., this candle here. So what can you do? You can go onto your charts. If we're using, there's a number of entry methods as well, of course, guys, right? But just to focus on the fact we've been talking about the change in state of delivery, yeah, what we would look for here is when this candle closes above, this can become what used to be an old trading system of mine, which still a very successful trading system, actually, but I changed the name. This used to be called a breaker line, but I didn't want people to get confused between that and breaker blocks. But ultimately what you would do is you get the close above here, meaning that you would just market enter on the close above. You would then target your stops below the prior swing low, which is this swing low here, sat within this fair value gap. And we would target this as target one. And then ultimately we're holding out for this here. Now, when I teach people about mitigating risk, once we get to this first target here, you'll notice that we've already booked a nice profit of about 3.6 R. At that point, personally, I would then look to move my stop loss to entry to de-risk this trade completely. Obviously take some profit out here. And then I would just be waiting to make sure that this is respecting market structure again, which we can see we've got our low, our high, higher low. Now this is looking to push on and cause our higher high. If that's the case, then when we see this in a bullish trend, what we want to see are our down close candles here. Yeah, defending price. So just as we did with our change of state of delivery or order block set, down close candle closed above, we now want to see these hold. So our next challenge here, if we want to see price move higher, is to see this one hold above and move up. Now, we obviously need to remember that we're on a 5 minute chart here. So the lower the time frame, the more the noise. But just to give you a little concept and give you a bit of input as to why our expectation was for price to move higher. If we'd actioned this on our market structure break, we were looking at long setups from mid to late week last week, but now coming into this from Sunday, just wanted to see a little bit of confirmation here because there's no reason that price couldn't correct a little bit deeper to say this fair value gap, which was our target, should we have broken down, to find some more support and fuel the move to go higher. So let me just take a couple of minutes to look through some of the questions as well. Joe, it's brilliant that you're back online. Really, really do hope you recover soon. Being Irish doesn't help when it comes to partying. I feel your pain here as a Brit. And a fellow member of the British Isles, we are, yeah, you know, we enjoy a little party. Solar eclipse is the reason. Vic, always enlightening us with his astrology thoughts as well. QBS is on there. So there's a chance QBS started this pump, as we know, we always do. You're very welcome, Jack. Look, one of the great things you can do, mate, is there's loads of stuff in the description. There's loads of free alpha on our website as well, theburbnest.com. Let me just pop that in here. There should be a link to our link tree in the description as well. You can find tons and tons of free alpha on there, free sign-ups for memberships and bits and pieces as well. Also, as well, if you go onto the YouTube channel, then if you go under live, you've got my sessions as well as some of the sessions from our other trading team that are available for free too. So, guys, I want to put this across to you. What's your thought process? What do you want to know? Are there alts that you're looking at? Are you wondering how this could kind of have overarching market effects? Are we looking at kind of higher time frame targets? Because at the moment, something tricky that we have is, excuse me, as you look on the higher time frame, when price is in price discovery, which means that we're now above an all-time high, meaning that as we look left, we just simply don't have other liquidity targets, right? So price is making its own history here. However, what I would say is if we look at the prior all-time high, that was set back in here in April 21, when price reacted with this, we saw a very, very different engagement, okay? We were looking for the same principles. Price came up, found resistance, sold off, came up, found resistance again. See how it very quickly, now, even though this one closed above, look at what happened. We swept the prior all-time high, right? Immediately closed below it, formed a bearish pin bar, which again, we know has less weight than a pin bar like this, for example, or this, which are trading, or this, which are trading with the trend. However, we do know that price tried to get above this, failed to close above, right? So this is our key line here. Failed to close above this high, but it did close above the prior all-time high. Now, that's a sign of strength. However, we're concerning ourselves with liquidity, right? So even though we closed above this, we'd already swept it. So the close we want to see is above this. So when we get this close, we see a small body. We want further confirmation. We then want price to show that we're kind of owning this level. Look at the difference here, right? Price came in, sold off, came in, sold off, got above, right? And this was really, really key. As we came above, what did we do? We held above the body of that candle, right? Now, when we were here and we were kind of moving up and down last week, we traded that both ways intraday. And I'll tell you as for why. Because whilst we had that nice close above, we had a bullish engulfing followed by a pin bar. Wonderful trader and a very good friend of mine, Bast, who works with us over at the Bird Nest, would tell you always when you're looking for these, if you wait for a second confirmation candle, it's often a lot better. Yeah. So, and what he means by that, and this is obviously proved through data, that when we get a pin bar candle like this, which is bullish or bullish hammer, you then have a bullish engulfing, the chances of continuation become a lot higher. And we saw and we're seeing that here. So ideally, we're very new into the week, but seeing this week close as an engulfing candle would make me feel like we were pushing even higher. Now, something you can do. Morning, Willist. How are you doing, my friend? Is it Willist or is it Williest? Either way, love the name and great to see you back on the stream again, mate. So one of the things that we can do here is we can look at our standard deviations, right? Now, this can be a little bit tricky sometimes, right? Because really with a standard deviation, what you want to do is find the manipulation leg down that led to the pump higher. And this one here gives us a really good example, right? So here we see we're in a downtrend, right? So lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower low, till we set this higher high, right? Hopefully everybody gets that really nice, simple market structure. If it's something you struggle with, please do go on the Bird Nest website, look at our infographics, and there's some brilliant things put together by QBS on there. So, excuse me, what we have here are two key things. One, we have a sweep of liquidity. Yeah. And then secondly, here we see that we have a structure break. All right. And this is a market structure break, not a shift, right? Because we're coming from a higher high. Yeah. Lower low, lower high, lower low, yeah, higher high, higher low, bang, and we're away. Okay, so the reason that I'm showing you this is because it's interest, because we've taken liquidity here, we've shifted structure, and then we've gone to move to the upside. So what we have here is a clear manipulation leg between this and this high and this low. So what does a manipulation leg mean? Well, it's the purge on liquidity before price then shifts structure, right? So, and it doesn't have to shift structure, but it is that purge in liquidity. So what we're doing is we're measuring from here to here with the Fibonacci. Yeah. So all I'm doing is going on here using my Fibonacci retracement, and I'll share the settings with you. And I want to get this low to this high. Yeah. So that low measured to that high, and I want to drag it up because I'm projecting for long setups. Now what I'm going to do is go on to my standard deviation preset. And all this is a standard Fibonacci with a 0, a 0.5, a 1, a 2, a 2.5, and a 4, right? And that's what I'm interested in looking at in terms of the standard deviations, because my key target, is always resting between 2 and 2.5. That's how I use it, right? Then what we can see here is 4. Should we conquer this level, all right, then 4 is my next projection above that. Now, the reason that I'm saying this can be really useful is when we're projecting targets into all-time highs. At the moment, we can target these levels. We've got the equal highs here. We've got the previous all-time high. That's going to be a key liquidity pool, right? But let's say price does something like this. It sweeps this. Yeah, it comes back down below, shifting in structure. Well, then, right, when we get that structure break in the other way and price is looking to move higher, what it allows us to do is utilize our standard deviations on this, the manipulation leg before price goes higher, take it from the low to the high. And then it allows us to say, okay, well, we're looking at our first target here, maybe between 2, 2.5, and then extended targets up here to 4. So when we don't have any way of projecting these forward, that can be a really, really good way to do it. So just for example, let's pick a point at which we had structure breakdown here, just this one, for example, right? This one. So where's our manipulation leg here? Well, this is the sweep of the high. Yeah. So that's where liquidity was taken. Now we're saying to ourselves, well, where's the origin of that move, right? Now we've got a clear swing low here, leads to this drive higher. So we're saying to ourselves, okay, what we want to measure then is this high here down to this low. And what you'll notice is price sits nicely between this 2 to 2.5. Now, the reason for me that this has made sense, and I've studied this for so many years, right, is because from a data aspect, I can understand how if you're programming bots, algorithms and systems such as that, you need a clear and concise way to set targets, right? Support and resistance levels are subjective, etc. So if you can simply measure this in terms of a manipulation leg and say to yourself, okay, well, where does price get to? And you can see it's pretty much dead on the 50% of that. And look, this isn't just cherry picking examples, right? We just put the chart on anywhere and just try it for yourselves and see if it's something that you find helpful. But I do get a lot of questions from people saying, how do you start to look for setting targets with these, especially when you're moving into all-time highs? And for me, these are really, really good. All right. So just to give you one more example, just to show you that it's not kind of cherry picked. Let me just get rid of these for a second, if I can, just to clear it up. So we're now going to focus on this move down, right? So where did we have the manipulation? Well, that was the sweep. Okay. Price swept liquidity here. Now, ultimately, we came down from this low, right? So from here to there, once again, as we project down, we can see just in between that 2 to 2.5, we get this. Now, under the 2.5, we sweep liquidity again and recover, meaning that we don't expect price to continue confirming down towards the 0.4. However, we can see we got the same situation here. Price is now approaching the 2.5. So if we get the close above, maybe price will continue up. All right. So hopefully that's been helpful in terms of looking at kind of projected targets. So for me, as I said yesterday with the Bitcoin report, I'm still very much bullish on this as well. Yeah, and this is a great point here as well. The power of 3 at that point at 74 was, I don't want to say a no-brainer, but actually often when you're looking at these things, so like power of 3, for example, for anybody that doesn't know, is we're looking for a 3-stage pattern, which is accumulation. Yeah, so you would see price, within here, just kind of like accumulating, kind of going high to low, high to low, high to low. Yeah. Then what you want to see, this is a bullish example, obviously, is a manipulation. Yeah. And what that entails is all the liquidity that's built up under here being swept. You then want to see a recovery. And then you go into the third phase of your power of 3, which is expansion, right? So just do that. in purple, so it's a bit clearer. So you have your accumulation phase, your manipulation, which is a liquidity sweep here, sends the market in the wrong direction before you then have that expansion higher. Now what we would be looking for here is to put that into play and say, okay, well, this kind of looks like quite a nice consolidation here, right? So as we take that across, consolidation, has this been the manipulation, right? And are we now very much entering the expansion phase? Okay, so really good point there from Vic. That's a teaching of ICT. Okay, so very, very lucky to Michael's original mentorship, played a lot in my kind of trading career as I was starting out, as did people like Trader SC as well. So, you know, if you do have interest in that, I always recommend going to talk to people at the you know, the people that are at the source. I'm happy to teach you how I certainly interpret it, but obviously you always want to pay that respect to the people that kind of came up with the core material. So, okay, interesting one here. AVAX has a super clean PO3 formed. If you're going to look at alt stack, well, perfect. Let's just take a look at that. What time frame was that on, Vic? Yeah, exactly right. Accumulation, manipulation, distribution, right? AMD, or you will hear it also as power of 3. Daily. Ah, cool. Okay, well, let's take a look at that, guys. This could provide some really interesting insights. So let's love that. Let's take a look. What have we got here? Nice. Yeah, so what our friend Vic here is talking about is the idea that, look, if this is the accumulation phase, right, so this is price compressing, all right. Now if we're looking at that as a range and we would extend that across, what we're now saying, and whenever I say this I can't help but hear the legend SC's voice in my head after so many years of listening to his alpha, which is this the deviation? So if we were looking at this as a range, yeah, you'd have your, say, range high here, range low there. Is this the deviation? Price is now stepping back into the range, yeah, meaning that we would look to trade this to range higher here, and ultimately we'd then be looking to hold this level here, recover structure, and trade this even higher, right? Yeah, exactly. So the other thing that Vic's pointing out here, which I think is a good point, and bear in mind, this is on a daily scale, so we can use this information to say, okay, well, look, if we're stepping in now, then we're getting bullish. But the other thing that Vic's saying here, I think, which is of interest, is this, right? Excuse me. So this is a key level, right? All-time high. Again, look what happened. Initial rejection, then what happened? Price closed above it, treated it as support. Ultimately, we've broken down below this now. However, what I really like about this with AVAX on the daily is this. Key SR flip about to happen here. We need to see a daily close back above this. Now, we're delivering from a bullish fair value gap. And look how the body's just held that so perfectly. Now, for a bit of extra confirmation here, a close above this, making it an inversion. And yes, we've got another small fair value gap we want to be aware of here. But all the points assigning to, if this is the compression, this is the manipulation. I think tomorrow, especially if we get a close above this on a daily scale, if you're somebody trading this time frame or using this as your higher time frame bias, this for me, I would be expecting to be drawn a little bit higher as well. All right. So I think that's looking really, really promising on there. Sure. Let's take a look at ETH. Just use our partners Binance for this one, shall we? So was this on the daily as well, was it? Guys, if you've got any suggestions, please do let me know and we can really, really make time for them. So this is a little bit tricky, this one, right? Because that is just, I thought that was just such an incredibly key draw on this, right? Abnormally long wick. What happened? Price came in, swept out all the liquidity resting under here. Look how quick that reaction was. Just absolutely flew to the moon, didn't it? So where we are now, I would have really liked to see this run. I just think there's a huge liquidity pool under there, right? So would have liked to see price get under there, quickly recover, and then once we regain market structure, look to kind of get involved around about here. However, I think what we can say at the moment is if we're ever a little bit unsure about that, one thing that we did have here, and it is a very skinny one, but we had this fair value gap in inversion. Hey, Tim the Chin. Hello, mate. Yeah, SUI. Sure, buddy. But we've got a really nice clean target here. That's the last daily swing high, right? I would think that's where liquidity is really kind of looking to rest. Yeah, so I think that's already shown strength. I'd be surprised if we didn't see some kind of expansion here. But if we got back below this again and closed below this, I would be expecting this level to get run. I just think that there's so much. Yeah, but we saw it on ETH as well, right? So what Vic's saying here is we possibly got front run. I am Tim, mate. I hope you're well too, buddy. Is what Tim's saying here is that we probably got front run here. And actually, if we just take a quick look at ETH, we can see the exact same thing happened here. Right, yes, we ran this previously, which was really nice, led to this bit of resurgence. Ultimately, I'm not sure that I don't know whether this was just a real kind of holder here for price to just an accumulation so that the longs could really pop. But with that down there, and a really, really good friend of mine and a magnificent trader, Razoon, who's part of our team at the Bird Nest, I think posted about this as well, who posted an immense long call on this, by the way, and on Doge. We've had a big conversation on the live show last week that, yes, we kind of run that little local low there, right? But it would have just been so lovely and clean to see that level run, see that recovery, right? And then get that opportunity to kind of be a buyer in here. Now, this leads me on to the next point, which really just goes to show us that the markets don't have to kind of follow what we think that they're going to do. And actually, what we're doing is we're overlaying technical analysis to try and find high probability trades. Yeah, that's why I like the idea of looking and targeting liquidity, because I can imagine in my mind how larger accounts are kind of doing that same thing, right? They need obvious places to buy, obvious places to sell. Now, we have this high here. Yes, we have this local high here, but I'm actually going to favor this one as our target, which is currently sat at 3681. Now, with yesterday's close above it, I know you probably think I sound like a broken record, but look at how price reacted at this level. Could not close below it. Look at the absorption. We recover this level very quickly, and we can see price moving higher. Now, you could be an aggressive buyer down here, which is fine. I've got no problem with that. I personally like looking for a little bit more confirmation. So when we got the daily close above here, yeah, which we can see was stepping us into Monday morning, again, what we're then doing is we're then saying to ourselves, okay, well, what kind of setups do we want to see? And it depends what kind of time frame trader you are, right? But look, if we just focus on our old friend market structure, what do we get down here? Same principles. We've swept some liquidity from the lows here, right? What are we also doing? Never forget, I don't like to forget about my state of delivery. Where's price delivering from? Price is delivering from this bullish gap here, right? This bullish fair value gap. What's happened is purge liquidity. Now, what do we want to see? Well, we want to give ourselves an indication that price is looking to move higher, okay? So we can do this in a few ways, but one of the best, in my opinion anyway, is when we're looking at recovering market structure. So we can make an allowance for this high or this high. If we've got an obvious and clear high above it, like this one, I quite like to prefer those. But again, it's up to your particular trading methodology. But this for me is we have our, actually, do you know what? This is actually a structure shift because we didn't come from a higher low. So important to just get that right. So here was our market structure shift. And the reason it's a shift is because we come from a higher high, but this is a lower low, right? So when it prints this higher high above here, what we're saying is it's given us that indication the market is shifting. How do we then get involved in that? Well, first of all, we would have had to be buyers in Asia. But look, we just monitor these gaps again, right? So what do we have here? We have a bullish gap between this candle, so it's a 3-candle pattern, 1, 2, 3. You can find this information out and explained in detail on my YouTube channel. But again, look, what you want to see with these is displacement. You want to see expansion. You want to see price showing conviction. Look at the big bodied bullish candles. Bang, bang, bang. This gap is it's just a sign that this is the area you want to hunt for long setups, right? The other way you could have got involved with this as well was looking at this change in state of delivery, which was here. All right, now this is important because these consecutive down close candles form one higher time frame order block. So when price closed above it here, that was our idea that we could be in for continuation. So we're going to pop a little arrow there. I'm going to show you how you could have got involved with that on the low time frame as well. Also, we would have hunted for longs in here, right? Market structure break, come back in. And then as we go into here, we can see this nice expansion higher from here. All right. So we're just going to take a look at that really quickly on the lower time frame and see how we could have been buyers here and here as well. And I'm going to move down to a 5 minute. For those of you that haven't kind of maybe picked up on this, I'm using a triple screen system here of daily, hourly, and 5 minute. That means I'm using the daily as we used there to ascertain our high time frame bias, which is bullish. I'm then using the hourly to frame the trade, finding these gaps, these areas of interest. And then I'm using these to get involved. So we focus very heavily on market structure and stuff like that and change in state of delivery. So we don't want to change that any further. Obviously, if we were looking to be a buyer from here, well, we can see that this was really lovely and clear, right? Lower lows, lower high, lower low, higher high. This one kind of takes out this intermediate term high here as well in a fair value gap. So what we can do here is we want to wait for a bit of confirmation, yeah, because these tend to be pretty tricky highs, all right? You'll see these marked up as ITH on my charts from the intermediate term high, which is another teaching of ICT. The key thing really here, and it's traditional price action analytics as well, right? You've got a gap here, right? So we expect bearish gaps to be respected until they're not, till they're closed above, like here. Then we lead to continuation of the bullish trend here, not the bearish. Where with this one, it's just a high or a low that are sat within a fair value gap. Yeah, they just provide really good liquidity pools. And what you'll notice is when price ultimately closed above this here is when we really started to then compress and we got that move higher. So once we've swept this, we can then wait for the expansion here. Now, can you see the difference between this move higher? See how there's a number of candles. Yes, there's big body candles here, but look, down close candle, up close candle, down close. Look, not really the conviction, is there? Blasting above it. Where look at this, yeah? And if we move across to this high here, right, we can see here, look, boom, 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 3 big body candles flying up, yeah? That's what we're really interested in here. We're looking at that displacement. So how can we be a buyer in here? Well, like we said before, we can either wait or go involved in that change in state of delivery. So we've had the pump higher, right? We then see price come back down and set this. Then, right, we're now in a bullish trend. Here's our change in state of delivery. Where is price delivering from? Well, price is delivering from this bullish gap, right? So as price comes in here, we get that little pop and price closes above. What can we do? Well, again, you can be a market entrant on there. You would need to target the price swing low, right, which is this little one here, right? Or ultimately, you could, because it depends, you know, you might not want to target that as an intermediate term low. You could target the ultimate swing low there. Again, we refer to the higher time frames at this point for our targets, right? So we would go back to our hourly here, and we'd be saying, okay, well, where would we be looking to target here? Yeah, price has corrected down to this area. Well, this high, which we'll do in red, would be our target, okay? So then as we're setting our targets, we would say, okay, we would want to be long from here up to there, all right? Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can teach entry methodology that obviously you can take that and have trigger systems. This one, using change in state of delivery, what I would always recommend is you want to see corresponding bias, right? So here we're using this based on the fact that we've shifted market structure. We've seen displacement, yeah? Oh, Denias, bless you. I love people that just come in here and then just don't add any value. Thank you for being such a fucktard. You always get them, unfortunately. Probably, I don't know, Mum maybe didn't hold him too tight or maybe too much. But never mind. So what we're looking at here, right, is we're looking for confluence as you overlay everything, right, to make a plan. There's no point just kind of looking at it and saying, okay, what do I think price is going to do today? What do I kind of believe? Stuff like that. The market just doesn't really respect that, right? The market just literally sits there and says, okay, well, what can I do to get involved? Where can I be a buyer? Where should I be a seller? Thank you, Nick. We very rarely get them on this show, actually, but they are out there. And yeah, they are idiots. So don't be put off by people like that, by the way, guys. Don't let people tell you what you can and can't do. People like this offer no value to the world. They're just sad, lonely people that just want to go and spread hate. Don't take that from people. Believe in what you want to do, work hard to achieve it, and trust me, you can change your lives in this or any industry. All right, guys? So why crypto? Actually, sorry, before I ramble on, thank you, Joe. It's right. Do you know what? As long as you're value to a few people, don't worry about the idiots. They're out there. Very rarely will they achieve anything. And the greatest thing is you just often get to wave people like that goodbye. They will sit in their little hate bubbles while you just keep working, keep being strong, stand to your beliefs, and you can go on and you can achieve big things. All right, guys, trust me, I've done it. You know, I didn't come from a trading or financial background. I used to run businesses for a living. And yeah, you know, I massively changed my life with this career as well. So don't let people like that put you off. So a couple of things. So we said that we would take a look, didn't we, at our friend on here as well, to take a look at for Tim. Let's have a look at, let's have a look at Sui, shall we? So let's go to our weekly, right? Love that. Yeah, sure. Okay, so Gari as well from Y Crypto. So let's make a little bit of time. We're going to probably finish up here in about 10 minutes. And then let's have a look. Okay, Vic, I see what you're saying there about Doge. Yeah, okay, let's make a little bit of time. Let's look at Doge. Let's look at that Gari. Sounds interesting. And obviously we'll do Sui now as well. All right. Thank you, Craigie boy. And I do, you know, I am a good distraction if you ever really, you know, need to take some time from work. Yeah. So first thing that really stands out to me here is just how clean this support resistance level is here. Right. Look at this. This all-time high, you know, where the token launch sold off. Look how price, again, we see that big rejection. Price closes above, and then look how it just can't come back down below. We kind of tweak into this order block here, right? I think moves like this are just designed to send people in the wrong direction, right? A lot of people would have been bearish here. Ultimately, we never closed back below this level, and now we're kind of expanding higher. So if I'm looking at what's currently, Vic's so clean, right? If I'm looking at what's capping the market, though, I'm looking at this, right? So this, for me, is capping the market at the moment. And this is important because, again, we can see what happens when we close above these levels. What we really want to see is this level closed above and then hold this exactly. It's straight off the weekly OB. Price is absolutely ripped. Now, what I did quite like here, just so that we stay consistent as well, we don't ever want to cherry pick, right? Meaning that we don't ever want to kind of ignore any TA because it doesn't suit our narrative. So one thing I really liked with this is that we had the change in state of delivery, okay? So closed above this here, meaning that there'd be an expectation of a continuation. One thing I think that could have led to this corrective move here is the fact that we ran this prior all-time high, so natural place for price to call off. But I think within here, I think we're kind of building up more for kind of bullish expansion. So let's drop this to the daily and see what this tells us. Okay, so the daily's looking in quite good shape here, in my opinion. So I know that might seem mad after we've kind of had this big drop down. Now, a couple of things quickly. When we, again, just to kind of, this is to emphasize, the reason that I go over previous price action is to look and to emphasize why we do the things that we do. We share all of these trades live along with our P&L and everything at TBN. So everything we do is completely transparent. So that's not for me to convince you. We had an ROI of 330% for members last year. For me, it can be helpful, I think, to go over the TA and the methodology as to why we kind of take these trades and these moves. So look, we purged liquidity down here, but also remember, like I told you, when you see these fair value gaps invalidated, this should have acted as support. It did originally. Price lost momentum, closed below. Again, look at that candle, right? Big body candle closing below. So we now expect price to just seek the nearest resting liquidity, right? And we have this beautiful swing low down here. Price ran that. Now we've seen quite a nice recovery. It did close below it a smidge, but look how it kind of just stepped back inside. Again, if we go to our old friend, the fair value gap inversion, right? We need to wait for today to close. However, if we get that, then my expectation, if it closed here, would be that price is now looking to move higher. I'm going to just get rid of that for a moment because I think at the minute that this would be more significant because this is our bearish fair value gap, right? So I think this is what price is currently drawing towards. And again, we want to see how price draws towards this. And then if we get that close above it, then we should be saying, okay, bearish gap, there should be sellers in here enough to push price lower. If it doesn't, then our expectation is price is going to seek liquidity above the next key liquidity point, which is this swing high, because there's no further gaps in there. All right. So on a daily time frame, that's how I would be looking at that. On a 4 hour, 4 hour is looking a little similar here. Now, obviously, you need to be very, very careful in terms of how you're using and utilizing your time frames. But what we can see here is we've already got the we might have the daily confirmation on that. But if we're using our 4 hour as our high time frame here, we can see we've got this nice inversion here. Yeah, actually happened here. Price came down, found support within this OB. This is okay. We're now moving back above this. So there's two draws here on the 4 hour. One would be this swing higher, and the other would be this little gap here, all right, that we're currently in. Now, this is more of use for your intraday traders, yeah, trading on your lower time frames, because should price close above this here, all right, then for me, I would be on a lower time frame here, looking for price to get a market structure, run, and then move a little bit higher. Johnson Max, please, I don't understand. Yeah, sure, Johnson. So, I mean, it may be that the kind of these concepts are maybe something you've not been introduced to before. What I'd kind of recommend is to go onto our YouTube channel at the Bird Nest. If you go under live, all of my live shows, I do on average 2 a week, are on there. There's a lot of educational based stuff as well that's on there. But also in terms of looking at these and how they work, if you go to theburbnest.com, that's BIRB, you can find our infographics section on there where it has a load of these different kind of like trading techniques explained. Also, you know, you can pop on, take a free trial, come in for a week, ask loads of questions, come and gobble up the resources and materials. You're always more than welcome. Guys, you can also get access as well. We've got some exciting news coming up as well. You know, we're going to be doing some bits and pieces for some launches soon. So there'll be some really, really good offers and deals going out. So do get in touch if you're interested. But like I said, we've got tons and tons of free resources there as well. So please check them out. But just to give a small bit of context, I'm looking for price to attack liquidity, meaning draw towards old lows like this or high time ones like this, all right? And then with gaps, we can see how you have price drawing back towards these gaps. When they're violated, meaning they close above, we then expect price to move higher to the next gap. Again, now what we're doing is we're watching on here to see if this is respected or ultimately if price just doesn't have the momentum to move through it. But that would be my current thinking on SUI. So let's do a little top down on Doge, shall we? Yeah, because I think if we look at this, then maybe this will kind of help give a little bit more context. Yeah, sure, Max. Take a look down in the description, mate. You'll find details to the Bird Nest, and you can see all the different ways that we can help you and help other traders as well. So as we're here, you're welcome, Tim. Hopefully that was helpful, mate. So once again, what do? We kind of took some liquidity here. Price then again, so this was a bit of a trickier one, right? Because price came up, this was then kind of ended up being a deviation. Price stepped back inside. So I really want to see price kind of get back above, close back above this level, kind of starting this off here on a daily. So let's looking at the weekly. The reason I didn't go to the daily is just because of the price history. However, this for me still tells us a lot. Right, I'm bullish Doge. I've been bullish Doge since we got the close yesterday because of this. Right now, the other thing that is always, or that I like looking at, is this. Right, so when we have our low to the high, yeah, which is our recent price leg, we take that and we just split that. And we're looking for price to return to this lower 50%. Yeah, this is where we have a higher risk to reward for long setups of its short setups rather from up here. Now, as we look at our range here, we can see how price is kind of holding this mid really, really well. So I know traders who I work with, like Resume, for example, were looking for long setups here within their system. Great thing about our kind of trading team is we have 6 professional full-time traders, all with different disciplines. So it depends if you're interested in swing trading, day trading, algorithmic building, volume, etc. There's always something for you to learn from a trader who's been doing this for their income for a considerable amount of years. Now, the question is, we kind of closed above here and we're drawing into this. I'm not so much looking at this as an area that I expect to reject price, by the way, this level. I just want to see price kind of get back above it. So in terms of a target here for Doge on this level, I'm looking at this. And then ultimately we've got the we've got the previous, swing high here. So price kind of drawing up into this at the moment. So as we break this down onto a 4 hour for a bit more context, yeah, we can see prices in a really, really nice bullish state of delivery. Yeah, again, we came in, we swept these lows. What did we have? Here is where we had our structure break. Okay. And now again, see, displacement, right? Now, when we see moves like this, yeah, we see this move up through here, and that's really, really nice and clean expansion, right? Remember, like we say about how price engages with old highs and lows, yeah? This high that we were looking for that for our structure break, price rips through this, right? Often price will leave us a little signature in here, did so within the terms of this bullish fair value gap, right? And then in here, we can see, well, as we dip into this, as soon as we're in this green box, we can look for our long setups, yeah? So because we're moving from a 4 hour, yeah, we're going to move to a 15 minute, all right? So again, if we're just using our change in state of delivery, which we've used all the way along as our trigger mechanism, here we have our CISD, right, which is nicely followed by a sweep on liquidity. All right, but ultimately all of this is being framed off of our 4 hour, right? So what we're saying here is, well, this is the move. The way you can refine that is then by doing exactly the same on this time frame. So, oh, let me get that right. So remember, just as we just did, right? We looked for that structure break. We looked for that gap to be left. This is where we hunt our long setups. So here, you know, we can be buyers in here, or we can market buy here. You know, we've got pre-made liquidity targets higher up, right? So even if you were a 15-minute trader and you were entering on this breakout, yeah, of course, you've got a little bit of a larger stop loss because you've had a really big expansion here, but you've still got potential to hit, you know, a 5.7R trade, all right? Incidentally, if we wanted to refine that, hey, Imran Khan, my friend, good to see you. If we wanted to refine this further, and what I love about this is this coincides with our New York trading session here, all right, which starts at 1:30 UTC at the moment. Now, if we wanted to refine this onto a lower time frame, we could look for, say, like a 3-minute, 2-minute entry, yeah, when price engages here. Remember, all exactly the same entry methodology. We need to see price engage with this, and then we just need to see that key change in state of delivery. Now, for me, this is the order block here that's capping price. Price came down, swept this low, came into this area, yeah. So what I would want to see here is the change in state of delivery above this. Do that black so we keep consistent, which was actually this candle close here. Remember, we put our stops below the price swing low, which was here. And then ultimately, and again, you're not always going to get these trades right off the bat, but you would use, obviously you've got some really big upside targets here, which you would look to hold runners for. But the immediate target you'd have would be this swing high here, where you could look to move your stops up. You're just over 1R at that point. If not, what we can do is, again, look at our manipulation leg lower, right? So for me, this one here actually was the key sweep. That was the sweep that then led to the consolidation for price going up. So if I'm looking for a standard deviation from there, again, I'm going to hold at least for my 2 to 2.5. I think once we had this strong move above 2.5 here, the expectation was for it to get to 4. We didn't quite get there, but we broke down. Now, if we want to get involved in the trade again, we just need to refer to our intermediate time frame, which was our 15-minute, right? Because our 4 hour hasn't changed here, guys. Remember, if we're holding a high time frame bias, we're expecting price to continue to reach for up here. Actually, I'd also be looking at this intermediate term high here. All right, because this high sat within a fair value gap. That's a place that I want to be a little bit cautious. I want to see price kind of maybe consolidate a little bit here and look to pop again. But now as we kind of move back down to that 15-minute, I'm still bullish, right? I've got those up here. So for me, what are we looking for again? Well, I know it can sound a bit broken recordy, but we want to see these market structure breaks. We want to see sweeps. We want to see market structure breaks, right? And we also want to remember that we're now back above this, right? The further that we start moving away and consolidating, this is a sign that this has really been accepted as support. So as we're looking in here, we're saying, where's our first move that we sweep liquidity and then have real kind of key displacement, right? So we can see here, price comes down. We get this move higher, but we don't really displace above this. You know, we tweak into this high, so we could look at this area here for long setups. Ultimately, we come down here, we don't take out this high, we come down again. The first kind of real one for me here, well, there's two, right? We come up to here. There's this first one when we take out this high, not much displacement, but we get that. So we're going to look in there on the low time frame for a long setup as well. Then we get this one. We take out this high. This gives us an opportunity to look for long setups here. And then ultimately this one, which is the one that really kind of popped, all right? So I'm now just going to move down to a 3-minute chart or an area like that again, and we're going to see if we got any setups within any of our boxes. So the first one that failed, the great thing about that is, look, see how it didn't give you any opportunity to get long. We would have just needed to see something like this in here, right? And then we would have been good to go, but we didn't see that. Now, when we come into this one, however, we do see that, yeah? We see this kind of pattern in here. Price drives down, shifts higher, takes out this higher, right? Liquidity is obviously a little bit low on Doge here, probably because we're trading the Asia session. But look, we get this change in state of delivery, fair value gaps to enter, price moves higher. Do we get the same thing here? Yeah, we can see this same kind of pattern emerging, right? Because we've identified our timeframes that we can look for these long setups on, okay? So that would be like, in terms of thoughts on Doge, and some interesting points raised by Vic here as well. I don't know, 420 is known as Doge Day. I love the fact that they've hit that in with 420 as well. I'm sure Elon Musk will be fully behind that as well, as a very strong advocate of 420. And then what else do we have here as well? Yeah, right after halving too. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, we're only, I think we're about 10 days away from the halving at the moment. All right. So we're going to have some cool halving stuff coming up as well for you guys to keep an eye on. We always try and do something big with the crypto community when that's on, because that's obviously, you know, massively on people's minds at the moment. So we got a couple of minutes left to the end of the show, and somebody just asked me for Gari, I think. One I'm not overly aware of myself, but that doesn't mean a lot. Okay, so Gari isn't going to be that. Let's take a look on KuCoin then, shall we? So this is obviously a spot token. Someone mentioned earlier to kind of take a look at this, so why not? Gari network, that was the one, wasn't it? Why Crypto? Is this the one, mate? Please let me know if I'm on the wrong chart. But yeah, sure. Wow. Oh. Okay, wow. So, all-time high. You can see the big sell-off after the launch. Yes, it is awesome. All right, mate, let's have a look. Peter Dell, everyone in the chat, best wishes from the chat. How very nice of you, Peter. Massive best wishes back to you as well. Yeah, so at the moment, this is looking pretty wrecked, right? So, big all-time high up here. Obviously, this was sold off really, really, really aggressively. Do you know what, Peter? Just because you joined the chats and so wonderfully politely, I will certainly take a look at Flux for you. But then we're going to close this out, all right? Look, with this one on Gari, right, I'm going to have to move to a lower time frame. Obviously, yes, we've got that weekly level up there. What we can see here, and you do see this with these type of projects, right, is you really big spikes to the upside. Ultimately, price here is playing some pretty big liquidity games, right? So taking out these kind of highs, then you get this kind of sell-off. All right, we can see another key high swept, price sells off again, right? We saw it the same here, price sells off, moves down, right? So with these kind of levels can be quite key for us, because you want to see them closed above, right? Price with this is obviously getting pushed up to a certain level and is selling off quite aggressively. So for me, structure here is important, right? Because we can see as we came into here, for example, how we swept some lows. This was our structure shift here, all right, allowed us some trades up into here. Again, look, we can see what happened. Again, remember, this is why I talk about displacement. Displacement up, a gap here. Gap allows us to be a buyer and push into these kind of untapped highs. At the moment, with where we are, we've kind of swept liquidity from the lows. I think it's a little bit tricky here looking at it on the daily, because the next kind of high is here, which is where we would need our structure break. We have taken some liquidity from these lows, and I think price showed a positive reaction here to get back above it. I would imagine a project like this is very much fundamentally driven, right? So you can learn a lot from really good fundamental analysts on this one as well. So, for example, Chris, Crypto Assessor, who works over with us. There's some other really brilliant, FA analysts out there as well. Obviously, people like Kazi, who've been blessed to know recently, got a really awesome read on this as well. Shaz, they do a little show together. So what I would say is find people that really know their stuff, people that are willing to let you into their process and kind of look at that fundamentally driven side of things, looking at this from a technical perspective. And just obviously based on the way that I trade, right? So I'm not saying this is right for everyone, but at the moment, this is capping the market. I'm going to do this in red. This is our bearish gap. Price has come in and found a rejection from here once. Now, what I do like about this is that we're delivering from this bullish gap. So as we're delivering from this bullish gap, if this gives us the momentum here on a 4-hour scale, and looking at this much more of looking at this much more as kind of like an intraday type trade or a short-term swing, I'd be looking for a close above this, and then for price to come and attack these highs. I would then be looking with great interest in how price reacts here, because I would want to see price kind of have that and then kind of really look to kind of hold this area of support. Lower time frames, again, look for that sweep lower to catch people offside. Build this base here, have our AMD or our power of 3, right, where we have this consolidation, the manipulation, and then the expansion, all right? And I think that that for me will be really interesting. And hopefully for those that are in this, actually, you can kind of see if we allow the bodies of these more so than the wicks, I think what's quite interesting here is that this could just be that. We could have seen this range here, just have this manipulation below it here. And maybe this is now leading into the expansion phase. What I would say is with these kind of projects, definitely find out fundamentally what they're all about. But from a technical standpoint, I would just be kind of looking to trade this level to level, close above here, get above here, hold this, shift it higher. Obviously, ultimately showing a little bit of caution. So I hope that's been helpful. We're about 1 minute over, but I do really want to look at Flux very quickly. To just do that, because Peter said, cool, I found a channel that talks real is unique and honest about crypto. There are too many channels talking about rubbish coins like Shiba. Toss is such a brilliant English word as well. Apologies for anybody offended. But yeah, sure. So cool. Well, let's take a look at Flux for you then, Peter. Right, let's take a look. And what I would also recommend is I'd really kind of, I'm guessing you've done this on a spot contract as well. So maybe let's take a look at the one on Binance. But what I would say with this is to kind of look at the fundamental side as well. Maybe have a little reach out to Chris, come on board, take a free trial at the Nest, doesn't cost you anything. Come in there, really pepper Chris with those questions, what his thoughts are on Flux, or find, just make sure you've got very good, reliable FA people. Another person who I used to have the pleasure of working with, who I think very highly of, is Julian. So you kind of ask those questions. But again, if you're part of good communities and stuff like that, you'll find them very, very supportive. Now, let's zoom right out. Okay, so Flux is looking pretty healthy at the moment. Again, we can see that similar kind of thing as we just saw with, I can't remember what it's bloody called now, hang on. With not Govi, Gari, okay, which is you've got that all-time high up here at like, a million miles away from where it is. So from here to the all-time high is like 700%. So great potential upside. Peter, I'm here Monday and Wednesday at midday UTC, my friend. Our members over at Bird Nest, whether it be a blessing or a curse, get to access to me a little bit more than that. But it's but public, all free. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Erica. Twice a week, Monday and a Wednesday. So on a weekly, what are we looking at? What are the key areas here on the weekly? What's capping the market? What's the current? This, for me, is a level of interest, right? Because what we can see is price came up, deviated, now got back below this. Seeing price get back above this and holding this, my minimum expectation would be for price to move to here. So looking at this from an investment perspective, right, I think what we've got here is a really nice kind of structure break. You've kind of seen this area closed above, price came up, we had this nice little pullback, we've kind of moved higher here. Now, technically, we kind of shifted structure a little bit earlier down here, but I think this was the kind of expansion that I really like to see. Yeah, so see this gap here. This ends up being a breakaway gap, meaning that price has got a lot of buyers, a lot of momentum to move higher. Now, on the weekly scale, I can't really see any gaps in that down here, right? So I'm going to move to a daily just to give a little bit more context. So daily now for me is super clear. So on a daily scale, we've got this gap. This gap currently is what's holding the market. So price is dipping into this, finding buyers, finding buyers. Now, the key thing here is if we close below this on a daily scale. So if we get a daily close below, my expectation would be for price to seek liquidity here. Okay, that's the next key liquidity pool. The flip side of this is, and this again, guys, this is how I look at the markets, right? I'm not suggesting you have to follow suit here. But that at the moment is our fair value gap daily, right? That's a bearish fair value gap. And this fair value gap down here is our bullish one. Price is kind of trapped between these two at the moment. If I really wanted to kind of go for a safer kind of play here, I would be waiting for price to come and close above this. Then I would trade to the resting liquidity targets here. And basically at those points, I would potentially look to kind of move my stop loss up. Now, without that, I mean, if you wanted to be a lot more aggressive, however, the flip side of that is if we got the close below here, then my expectations are that price is reaching for this liquidity lower down. Okay, so at the moment, while it's consolidating as such, one thing we want to be careful of here is we have moved into a bearish market structure. Okay, so here's our high, there's our our low, right? So actually high, low, we didn't really set a high in here, so we have to invalidate that low and go to this one. So high, higher low, lower high, right? This again, and I love how you can see the kind of consistency of these levels, right? So look what happened when we broke structure here. And again, look at the displacement. We left this bearish gap here. Look how this line here from this low, which was a shift of structure, is retested before price moves lower. Now, what I do like is that we've just taken intermediate term low. So for anybody that doesn't know, it's an ITC concept. Did mention this earlier. Please do check out his content if you're interested. I'm happy to teach you what I know and how I interpret it, but that's the origin of the source. But it's basically a low that's within a fair value gap. They're kind of overlapping liquidity pools, right? So as price draws into here, we're now looking for that to catalyze a bullish reaction. For me, the safe play, as much as anything, is looking at price getting back above this on a daily scale and then looking to push up higher. Not saying that this isn't a bad point to potentially accumulate some. If we just take a look at this, put our Fibonacci on. The one thing concerns me a little bit is price kind of really coming back down below the golden pocket, which is the 0.618 to the 0.66. I also have the 0.705 on there. This kind of area provides a really key target for me that I'm looking at, for an area to hold. Again, bots, a lot of traders target and use Fibonacci. So I think I would definitely be a little bit more cautious here, right? However, now if I'm looking at this the other way, if I'm taking this from the high to the low of the move, and I'm saying, okay, well, where could price possibly run to? If this is our trading leg down, we've taken liquidity here, we've broken down in structure here, I'd still be looking for price to get above this 50%, okay? So this high here is what really matters to me. Why? Because I think that's where the obvious liquidity is resting. We also have the golden pocket here. So, for example, if we get that close above here, I'd then be looking for price to kind of move to this level or maybe here. Around here, though, what I'd really want to see is price kind of not purge too much lower, okay? And just to give a visual indication of that, I would kind of really want to see some kind of fair value gap here. See how we've kind of added this one? We would then flip this one. So you would see this on my chart, then go to purple. All right, meaning we're holding this as support. We then want to see a nice bullish structure kind of ensue. If you want to really kind of look to micromanage this, okay, then again, and we can see here that there's a slight lack of liquidity here, right? Because we're looking at the gaps forming, all right? You can see certain gaps forming here on the chart, which isn't a problem. Just again, you want to show just a little bit of caution. But what we are looking close to do here, actually, Peter, which might be of interest, is we've got these equal highs here, right? Equal highs are obviously not obviously, but often very nice liquidity targets, all right, that price can draw for. It's just said it here. So now price moves higher. What we've also done here is we've taken, for anybody that uses kind of like trend line support and stuff like that, I think this might actually be quite an interesting one. So just looking at this from here to here and kind of speaking out loud, really. But we can see that price is kind of at this juncture here. If we're looking at these diminishing highs where price is trying to kind of break off of here. It bounced right off the 7.68 you drew from the swing low. Yes, exactly right. It did. So it did have a reaction off a key Fibonacci level. You're right, Vic. Just would have expected just a little bit more of a pump from that golden pocket. But again, buyers can be waiting deeper down, or it could have been a liquidity issue. But with this here, right, we've got this. We can see we've got these beautiful highs here, again, intermediate term high. So I think what you'd want to see here is price kind of continue from here, right? We've had a liquidity sweep. We now set a higher high, a higher low. Now just want to watch that continuation of structure, right, to get up to those higher time frame targets. And what I would say, Pierre, is depending how much exposure you have to this, right, then just very quickly for you as well, just to put this on there. Let me just turn the divergence off for a second. But again, we can see how good BPro's been here, catching all of the corrective moves, allowing you to get long, ultimately catching the reversal. Let me just turn this off so it's a bit clearer, because I just want to give you that visual representation of trend here, right? So the BPro high time frame trader does a really good job of helping us keep with the trend. We can see when we went bullish here, it kept us bullish all the way to up here. This was a massive move. It got you and caught this in the market, which was like 48, almost 50%. Now where we've kind of broken down here, we haven't quite flipped this yet, but I think we're getting very, very close. So I think that's another thing that plays into the bullish narrative. And I think we'll see this flipped if we start to get expansion beyond this. But just, again, I'm sure you are implying good risk management, but just don't overexpose yourself to these positions, all right, and leave yourself potentially in trouble. All right, mate. Guys, so look, fantastic stream today. Thank you so much for the interaction. Had over 5,000 people live on this one, which was really, really cool. I hope it's been useful. And if you've got any questions, please do reach out. You can find all the information down in our link tree. And I will be live for you all again on Wednesday. Trade Club for TBN will resume again tomorrow. So really looking forward to watching that as well. And sure, let's just take a filer just because someone's shouting this at me in the comments, and meaning that we're probably looking at a rather nice BTC pump. And here we go. We've got that beautiful continuation. B Pro again showing us the way, guys. This would have had us bullish since Thursday. So looking for that nice rip. And let's just look at this resurgence. Let's get some nice big high time frame action involved. And wishing you all a fantastic week ahead. Do stay safe. Peter, great to have you on the stream. Please do pop back again. And if you've got any questions, guys, do reach out. And let's continue up only, shall we? Let's make the most of this bull run. Thank you all so much. Look forward to seeing you all on Wednesday.